start my speech by asking a question to the opposition side. Who experiences more stress, children or adults? In the status quo, adults clearly face more pressure from work, money, and responsibilities. The main idea of this debate is whether childhood, with its freedom and simple joys, is truly the best period of life compared to the adults who are always stressed and trying to find ways that might not be good for their health. The only thing that students receive worries is future worries or academic stress. However, it's incomparable to the adults as adults receive more stress because they have to take care of like being perfect. And if they cannot find joy, they have to find like extreme ways like drugs, being a shopaholic or drinking and etc. Now to before I move on to my argument, I would like to define a key term in this motion. For the government side, we mean for childhood years are the best part of our lives. We mean by even if like the students make or childs make mistake, they can try again and they're expected to make some mistakes so they can grow. However, for adults, that is not possible as if they make like any type of mistakes, they might be fired and that causes them more stress than the childhood. So we already proved to you why childhood life is better. Now to move on to my argumentations. The government side first argument is freedom from responsibility, which means less stress. The mechanism of this is how during the childhood lives, people are mostly like free from any type of responsibilities. However, and the pressures that comes when they enter the adult life. However, the children don't have to worry about like earning money or like paying financial reasons or having a difficult life, like making decisions, for example, like moving away or applying for a new job. However, your decisions are usually taken care from their needs and protected them from real world problems by their parents or guardians. This allows their children to spend their time learning, exploring, and playing without feeling the heavy stress that the adults are facing. Childhood is a time when mistakes are expected. The impact of this is how adults is actually having stress while the children don't actually have that stress. If the or the child has stress, it's only about certain academic issues. However, for adults, even in the worst case or the best case scenario, that is not possible as they always have to care about their financial struggles, their food, poverty, rent, food, job security, etc. Now to move on to the government's second argument, which is level and frequency of, yes, actually rejected because time is over. Now to carry on, the mechanism of my second argument, which was level and frequency of happiness, is a higher in childhood. The mechanism of this is in childhood, people experience many things for like their first time, and they're like always like saying, wow, this is so cool. For example, friendships, holidays, birthday parties, or even like sleepovers. These new experiences are going to be creating a strong feeling of excitement and joy because they are fresh and full of wonder. However, when you're an adult, you can't be because you've already experienced that in the past and you're just saying that, oh, I cannot experience this. So the impact of this is how when people grow older, they get used to many of these experiences. So these excitement fades. So a first sleepover is very thrilling, staying up late, talking with friends. However, as an adult, these similar social experiences don't bring the frequency of happiness. Thus, I'm very proud to propose.
As the first speaker of the opposition, I strongly disagree with the notion that childhood years are the best years of life. While childhood is fun and unconnected, it is also full of limits and dependence. We believe that life after childhood, especially adulthood, can be even better because it brings freedom, purpose, and deep relationships. Best years are not years that only you yourself feel happy. Best years are when you feel happy because you feel your days and meaningful. When you can make others feel happy, when you know what you want to achieve in your life and choose for yourself, or when you have experience in society. First, let me rebut the proposition. They said child don't need to get money. However, if you are born in a very poor family, children can also be under financial stress. The difference is that child cannot work and earn yet.
why?
So less control, not control, more
why?
stress.
Yo.
No, thank you. Um, they said adult life is full of stress, but they considered that it's paired up with their freedom and responsibility. We believe freedom matters more. Uh, when you're a when you're a child, you can't vote, work, etc. However, for adults, they don't have parents controlling their forever. Um, my first reason is that adults have freedom and control over their own life. In childhood, you can't make many choices. Parents and teachers decide almost everything. What to eat,
why?
what to wear, where to go. Thank you. And even when to sleep. That can feel safe, but it's not true happiness. It's protection. For example, I want to become a professional soccer player, but my parents may think that too much soccer practice damages my body at an early stage. So they limited the length of practice, although I want to do more. Or my parents may think I should study and go to
Why?
college. So they will allow me to play soccer only when it doesn't
Why?
sacrifice too much time for studying. No, thank you. They are about my life, but I'm not allowed to make choice. I can't understand the risks my parents and anticipate, but they believe I don't fully understand. Uh, the frustrates me. Uh, that frustrates me. Real joy comes when we decide our own path. As we adults, we can chase dreams, uh, choose friends, and build the life we want. The sense of control and independence makes life exciting and fulfilling. Childhood is safe, but adulthood is free, and freedom brings real happiness. My my second reason is that adults find meaning and happiness in achieving goals and relationships. In childhood, fun is simple. Games, toy, school events. But those are temporary. In adulthood, we can achieve dreams that we've worked for, getting a job, helping others, building family, creating art, or discovering new ideas. That that deeper happiness lasts longer because it's built from effort and love. Also, uh, thank you.
Before I start my argument, I'll rebut to the previous speaker. The opposition side claims that adults can control over their own life. But this is not true because adults can't control doesn't mean happiness. Adults have more responsibilities like work, bills, and social pressure. And even if adults make decisions, they feel stress and worry, which reduces enjoyment and freedom. For example, an adult may choose to travel, but they worry about deadlines, money, or family duties. A child can play freely without these burdens. And also, the opposition side also claims that adults have more freedom. But this is not true because adult freedom that comes with consequences and limits, unlike childhood freedom. Childhood allows exploration, play, and learning with very few restrictions. Children can enjoy life in a carefree way that adults can rarely experience. For example, a child can spend the whole afternoon playing outside, imagining adventures, exploring nature, or making art, doing whatever fun they want after finishing their only little studies or academic duties. But adults, even if free, must follow schedules and meet expectations like work responsibilities and family responsibilities. So therefore, control and freedom as adults do not equal happiness. Childhood instead provides carefree, playful, and joyful years that you will never experience in your life. So these reasons prove why childhood years are the truly best years of life instead of adulthood. Now, moving on to my argument. Our side, as the government, strongly believes that childhood years are the best years of life because they have a much higher chance of emotional safety net. This is because they have much more guardians to protect them. For example, their parents and teachers. The reason is that children live in an environment surrounded by care, protection, and love from parents, teachers, and family. Because adults feel responsible for children's well being, they create a strong emotional safety net. Children can make mistakes, express emotions freely, and still be accepted and guided by their parents and their guardians. For example, when a child cries after failing a test, parents, who are their guardians, comfort and encourage children to try again. And adults in the same situation might be criticized or left alone without their guardians because they have none. They have no one to protect their emotions. And also, when adults see children, they feel nostalgia. This means they want to experience the purity, innocence, and hope children have. Children represent new beginnings and endless potential. They have yet not faced disappointment or social pressure, making their lives more beautiful and emotionally very rich. Adults smile when they see kids playing or dreaming big, like, I want to be an astronaut. This admiration proves that childhood is the most beautiful and free stages of life, something even adults will wish to relieve. Therefore, years are the best years of life because first, they offer a strong emotional safety net. And second, they represent innocence and unlimited potential, always. And third, and even adults admire and long to return into that stage of childhood. And I want to end my argument by saying our stance, children basically feel more happiness than adults, which makes childhood feel like the best years. Thank you.
Rebut the opposition side. So they have said that childhood is carefree and full of fun, and they don't have to feel stress. But fun is not the same as happiness. Childhood fun is short and simple, playing games or getting toys. True happiness is when we make our own choices, reach goals, and love deeply things we gain after childhood. Also, they've talked about life becomes harder and more stressful as we grow up. However, challenges don't make life worse. They make it meaningful. And going through challenges and having their goals achieved will also lead to joy. So it doesn't matter about how stressful we are. It's about how we gain benefit from that. Also, they've talked about that childhood is the happiest because of nostalgia. However, nostalgia is just memory. We often remember only the good parts. Moving on to my argument. So they've kept saying about the stress and that childhood may be stress-free and fun, but once again, best years are not years that only you yourself feel happy. Best years are when you make others. No, thank you. When you make others feel happy or when you have experience in society. So, as the second speaker, I will talk about that adults can make a difference in the world. So, firstly, I would explain about the adult's world and child's world difference. So, firstly about the adult's world. Adults will have experience of independence. For example, voting, working, reading, teaching, etc. And also they have happiness in achieving their goals. They have they have their own, firstly, they have their own goals. They try to step up independently, and then they achieve their goals. And when they achieve their goals, they experience failure and success, and that is part of joy. And also about that is the best years they experience. No, thank you. And also they feel appreciation for parents. They know how difficult taking care of children is. Naturally, and then they naturally feel joy to take care of children. And however, on child world, they rely on parents, so they can't do things by themselves. They think that parents doing things for them is normal. For example, for me, my parents are making breakfast, but I don't prepare my own meal. That is relying on parents. So they can't do things independently when they're always relying on parents. So that means that they have less experience. For example, when they kept falling, and then they give up because they haven't experienced failure turning into to success. And also, um, they rely parents. They follow parents, so they don't decide themselves what to do. So when they but when they grow up, they will have to live independently, but because they have experienced much more, they'll know what a true joy is, and they'll know what best years are by looking at all those experiences they had in the past. Thank you.
Today, we were debating under the motion this House believes that childhood years are the best years of your life. And our team mentioned that first, we can have more freedom, and also, child has more happiness, also frequency and high level of happiness. And also, our Deputy Prime Minister mentioned that we can have safety net from your guardians and parents. But the opposition side is keeps saying that we can have more, parents can have more, like grown-ups can have more opportunities, freedom, and independence. But our team believes that this is not true. So I will rebut our opposition side during my speech. So my first clash is that which side has more freedom? Our side mentioned, for example, Deputy Prime Minister mentioned that we can have safety nets and we can freely express themselves. Like as Deputy Prime Minister mentioned, for example, when child cries, adults comfort them. And then if child makes a mistake, then adult can comfort them and make child feel more better. But when adults cry when they lose a job or etc., then nobody comforts them and think like, wow, why do adults like cry and then like never comfort them? But opposition side is saying that we can have more freedom by voting and we can control over our own lives, but control and decisions means that we have more responsibility. So we have more freedom in childhood than adult. Also, let me explain about the amount of stress. Adults have, for example, money problems and time is limited for survival, and there's poverty. And when they make a mistake, they can lose job and they will lose job. And they only think about rents they have to pay for next week. But child's stresses worst case is stress caused by studying, but the worst case for a child is much like lower stress than adults or normal stress, and they have no stress and they can enjoy the now. And when they make a mistake, they think that they might lose a job for etc., but they actually not. So we think reality is not better than imagination. Moving on to our team's second clash. Which side has a higher level of frequency of happiness level of happiness. The government side, which is our side, mentioned that Prime Minister mentioned the frequency of happiness and level of happiness. Child have many things in their life. For example, going to amusement park and first time of their life, drinking sparkling water, etc. There's endless of new things. But adults have a little bit of new things because they had many experiences about things. So they tried drugs and alcohol to gain happiness and try extreme ways because there is not so many things they can gain happiness. For example, new stuffs. The opposition side mentioned that things we gain after the childhood is true happiness, and challenges makes life meaningful, how we can gain benefit happiness when you make others happy. And deputy leader of opposition mentioned that if have independence and happiness and have more goals is better, and mentioned that childhoods don't make breakfast or anything. But we're not saying that child has no independence and no anything, but we're saying that we are learning by this childhood, and we are trying to learn by this parents and by safety nets. And our team believes this time our childhood is the happiest state of our happiest year of our lives. Thank you.
They said nobody can give emotional safety net to adults. That's not true. My mom has my dad, my grandparents, and me and my siblings' parents, and me and my siblings. She has really good long-term friends too. They can be her emotional safety net. I want to be a better emotional safety net for her. If I grow up and become an adult, I prefer to be an adult. I will be happier if I could be a better help for others. I may feel more secured and my emotional safety net more solid when I am needed by somebody. Adults feel they are needed than children do. They said child do need to work. However, child need to study, help, and play physical activity like soccer, basketball, volleyball, and etc. To do one job, like if I was a basketball player, I just need to play basketball. They said children has independence too. However, adults find meaning and happiness in achieving and relationships. The best happiness comes not from playing, but from purpose. No, thank you. They said children experience more love and care. However, children receive love. Adults can give love. Giving love to others, to friends, parents, or one's own children is even more powerful. Adults can build their own families, choose their relationships, and experience a deeper kind of love. Receiving love is easy. Giving love is what makes life truly rich. They said childhood is the happiest because of nostalgia. However, nostalgia is just a memory. We often remember only the good parts. We forget the childhood also includes fear, confusion, bullying, and pressure. The fact that we miss childhood doesn't mean it was the best. It means we grew and changed. They said the new will comfort themselves when they become an adult. That means that they are experiencing failure, but failure has a meaning. They become independent, so adults gain more experience. Thank you for listening.
One claim we want to say is that best years are not years that only you yourself is happy. best years are when you can make others feel happy, or when you have experience in society like failures or success. So our class is that about which benefits people more. Note that on proposition side, getting entertained is only going to happen when parents or teachers, etc., stress themselves. But on our side, we experience joy, happiness, etc. when we become independent, and when we become independent and have experiences and gain it by ourselves. So, affecting others to gain happiness is not the best way we have in this world. In opposition side, we have a better solution to this, and our second class is about that is about whether happiness is going to happen on opposition side or proposition side. So on proposition side, happiness is kind of like when we have a better when we have a better when we have succeeded a lot or etc. But succeeding a lot doesn't mean that we gain happiness. Succeeding a lot means that you're just kind of going good. But on our side, failing and succeeding will be joy. So is failing is growth, and growth happens more on our side. So and also so note that best years are when you make others feel happy, or when you have experience more in society. Thank you.
As the Deputy Prime Minister of the government side, I'm proud to act as a reply for our side. So today's motion was that this House believes that childhood years are the best years of life. The opposition claims that first, adults can control their own life. And second, adults have more freedom. And third, best years are when you act in society and gain independence. And we rebutted, and let me tell you how our side rebutted this. First, freedom from responsibility. Children can enjoy experience fully without stress of bills, jobs, or social pressure. Second, level of happiness and imagination. Children feel more joy doing the same activities because of curiosity and creativity. And third, emotional safety net. Strong support from parents, families allow children to explore more and fail safely. And children can play or create without worrying about consequences. An adult may choose, but stress reduces happiness. And parents comfort their children after failures, and children grow confident. And the best case scenario is that children enjoy freedom, safety, and imaginative joy and on our side. But adults look at children and admire innocence and creativity and childhood traits of happiness and emotional well-being. And the worst case scenario is that if we ignore childhood, children might lack emotional growth and carefree exploration. And the opposition claims that opposition claim, which is poverty and stress in childhood, may reduce happiness, but our mechanisms counter this. So, Judge, please note that the opposition, our side tried POI for three times in a row, but the opposition rejected the whole. And also, opposition argued for adult freedom and societal achievement, but childhood's happiness is higher, and our rebuttals neutralized all opposition points. And children, and let me end my argument and my speech by mentioning our stance. Children feel more happiness than adults, and our team strongly believes that we deserve this victory. Thank you.